Solutions Review is on location at Commvault GO in Nashville, Tennessee. Brought to you by Commvault.
We are here, Commvault GO 2018 in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are joined by the head of solutions marketing worldwide for Commvault. That's Don Foster. Don, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We actually were at a briefing with you yesterday or the day before, and you really were talking about some really interesting things around what you refer to as self-driving backup, which I think is kind of an interesting take on it. It's really the idea of using AI automation to really drive a whole new way of thinking about backup.
Right. And actually, I mean, if you remember, I love talking about it this way just because in society today, I had the picture of basically a person in their car texting on their phone. And you think about AI, autonomous vehicles, and what that means just from a social perspective. Socially, we're going to change the way we think from, hey, don't text and drive, to don't drive, text. Now, granted, that might be years down the line till we get to that point, but if you can automate basically what is the monotony of driving, although I love driving, but the monotony of driving, okay, turn signal here, turn the steering wheel, speed up, slow down, follow the speed limit, whatever it might be, if that can be managed by sensors, then why can't we do something similar with how we're driving our IT organization, right? The way we drive operations, specifically the way we manage our data, the way we protect our data, the way we recover our data. And so that's really where we took this whole idea with the news of, obviously with Tesla and the self-driving trucks, you have a lot of more intelligence being tied into vehicles today. We just thought it was a nice sort of social tie-in to what we can also do in IT. And so when you break that down, the first thing you have to really think about when you think about machine learning and artificial intelligence and smart code, how you tie all that together, the first thing that really has to happen is that you as the end user need to define what outcome you want. And then from that, you just need to collect as much data as possible to basically understand on whether or not the way the system is operating is helping you meet that outcome.
Well, and I think it's a really interesting take in that a lot of us are seeing technology advance and seeing it advance in all of these different ways.
Yep.
And I think sometimes we just assume backup is just going to kind of continue to do the same things, when in reality you can leverage all of that new automated thinking to improve the way backup. And it also overcomes a lot of the challenges right now within the IT sector, which is a lack of available talent to do the manual things that need to be done.
No, right. I mean, if you think about it, and a perfect example of what we mean by how we're simplifying with AI, take virtualized environments, right? 10 years ago, there were people that you really would need to have someone smart to help you figure out what's the smartest, best way for me to back up these new thousands of VMs that have been condensed from thousands of servers now down to a few, right? And it was always challenging, and there's technologies and ideas you had to kind of keep in mind. And sometimes it would work well, sometimes it wouldn't. Now, granted, technology has advanced since then, but it's no longer 1,000 VMs organizations are looking at. I mean, we've spoken with customers that have upwards to 50,000 virtual machines that they're dealing with. So when we look at that, we realize, okay, the only way to really simplify this is to make the system smart enough to really discover what the infrastructure is. In this case, take VMware, for example. Where's all my actual VMware data centers? Where's all my actual data stores? How many virtual machines are spread across those? And you as an end user just need to tell me, hey, inspect this VM environment, this vCenter environment, and then I want you to go ahead and help me meet this RPO, RTO, and our software will scan through, discover the virtual machines, and start to align not only streaming for performance, the way to maximize streams, but make sure we're also load balancing across the infrastructure in a way that we're not creating undue hotspots across that VM infrastructure. And then if we see things start to, maybe act a little bit weird, slow down in some spots, or we're causing hotspots, we can actually dynamically make those changes. So that's part of the self-driving backup idea, in that you're just telling us that you want this backed up and you want to achieve this goal. Awesome. We're going to figure out the best, most prudent way to make that happen. And then to your other point, on the talent side, right? And this is actually a conversation I was having with a couple of customers and different industry analysts last night. As you look at new technologies, the question always is, well, does backup remain the same, or does it start getting pulled and integrated into all the applications and infrastructure we buy? And the point there still is hey, look, even if every infrastructure and application you work with does their own backup, you will still want to be able to manage that centrally, because how will you know if maybe system A and system Z on the other side of the data center might have some intelligence when linked together to give you another understanding for a business outcome? So, there's always going to be that red thread of needing to know where your data is, understand what that data is, and that's also kind of the reason why we're so interested in what we've announced with Commvault Activate as well.
Well, I was just about to talk about Commvault Activate because that is a very similar way of thinking about things, where you're basically using technology to understand where data is located and then be able to activate it.
Right. Yeah, and it's, if you think about it too, right, there's always been the ability to kind of capture metadata, but when you can, again, crawl systems, understand where those systems are, have the intelligence identify, are they protected, not protected, are they not even managed? Shadow IT still runs rampant in many organizations, and while we used to joke that the server under the desk was the early 2000s, oh no, trust me, there's still plenty of servers under the desk across many IT environments, and if it's not a server under the desk, they have their own cloud environments that they've maybe stood up for their own needs. So the ability to crawl on-premises, cloud, remote data center, identify what that data is, if it's been protected, but then more importantly, dig deeper. Go in and find out if there might be private information, things that are going against compliance laws. Maybe you're not retaining data the way that you need to, or as some customers found, the large customer that Bob and Al talked about on their keynote stage, the 9 petabytes of data they crawled, they actually just had a bunch of unrelated data for users that had left the organization. You talk about 100,000 people in the company. The turnover is probably a fair amount. They had data that was no longer linked to anyone in the business, and it was probably data they didn't even want to have anymore. So that's just undue risk. They could save the storage space, simplify a lot of things that are occurring internally, and more importantly, better align to what their compliance and data retention rules are.
Well, and I think that's the evolution of the enterprise right now. Is it's gone from we need to be able to back up and recover our data to we need to actually be responsible custodians of our data. Because we're under compliance now, whether we like it or not,
right.
Even if we're not in an industry that necessarily that has compliance requirements.
Yeah, and regulation is going to be coming to a state near you. If you're in North America, California just passed a Privacy Act. Expect that to move forward, and it's not like it's a bad thing, right? It's really what we as IT professionals have sort of been telling the business we can do all along. Now they just want to enforce the fact that, hey, people have the right to their privacy and the right to have their own data and whatnot. So expect that level of sort of focus to come across everyone's business. It's not just an EU thing with GDPR.
Well, Don, it's a really interesting story. We've been very impressed with not only this event, but the way you've started to simplify your packaging, put it all together in a modular way. And we think it's just a really quite a nice evolution. And well done.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys have enjoyed the show.
Well, thanks for being here.